Welcome to another Cachorro video. It's time for our latest Acolyte review, episode 6. So we're following the episode, which was probably their best episode yet. Good lightsaber, some nice, really good action sequence there, and I was hoping maybe they'd continue that. It does take us slower. It does slow back down the pace a little bit in this episode. There's some, some stuff was kind of intriguing and interesting, and there was some stuff that kind of felt a little weird. Didn't hate this episode. It's definitely interesting switches here with their setting up. Wish we would have got some more reveals in here. So this is episode 6 of 8. So it's definitely setting up that episode 7 is probably going to have some flashback stuff in it, if the whole thing's not a flashback. I don't know if you can set up enough for it to be the whole episode as a flashback or not, because we still got some stuff that's got to get taken care of that's kind of open-ended here. I don't know if I want to go down to 6, and I don't know if I want to go to a 7. So I guess we'll go with like a 6.5. I'll give it a 6.5. It's a good, solid episode and all, but there's some dialogue stuff that kind of was off. I think that's just a staple of Star Wars at this point. Some story beat stuff was kind of stretched longer than it probably should have been, but some interesting stuff was revealed. So we'll get into spoilers. I probably won't be able to do the scene by scene without writing it, because I didn't write everything down, since I'm doing this off the top of my head after watching it. So we have Osha. So the three things that are happening in this episode, we have May pretending to be Osha on the ship with Soul. The Stranger, the Sith, whatever we're calling him by, took Osha to his lair on some unknown planet. And then we have some Jedi stuff going on from the Coruscant with our one chick, the green skin chick, Sarah or something like that. So that's the three story threads of the episode. So Osha wakes up. She's in this dude's lair on whatever that planet was we saw at the very beginning. On the ocean, on the beach. She creeps out. She sees him walking. She follows him. He undresses to take a swim, I guess. Maybe like a bath. Kind of cleanse himself. Which I've seen some comments about that yelling about him being naked and stuff like that. It's like, we've seen Darth Maul without a shirt in comics and animated, and even Bat in the Sun did a thing where had him take off a shirt. We've seen Kylo Ren without a shirt on. Darth Bane didn't fight with it. Not Bane. Darth Sion didn't fight with a shirt on. I'm sure there's lots of Sith that did not fight with shirts on. So she kind of gets a hold of his lightsaber, and he starts, messing with her, like, hey, well, you gonna strike me down? What are you gonna do? Just talking about her form and stuff like that. So she's, trying to question him about stuff, and he's just, just nonchalantly say, not feeling threatened by her at all. So Seeing me, so it looks like he's giving it another shot with the other sister, since the one sister failed him. On the ship, we have a scene where it looks like May's getting ready to try and sneak up and kill Soul. She's got one of her knives. She's sneaking up. All of a sudden, Soul's trying to do a transmission to Coruscant, and it's breaking up. Of course, it has. Of course, it can't go through because, you know, okay, hey, there's a dude with a red lightsaber killing people. So she's sneaking up behind him in the cockpit, and he's like, "Oh shit, take the wheel. I gotta go try and reset the transmitter." So obviously he knew she was there, sensed her, I guess. So she goes to. So all the time we see Basil, by the way, saw her go up there, and he's watching her. He's trying to turn Pip back on. Soul comes down, walks down the hallway, and Basil just kind of lets him walk, and then goes over and starts trying to charge up and return on the Pip thing, the robot droid. Why he didn't just go up to the Jedi and run to the Jedi as soon as he saw the Jedi? I guess he won't believe me if I tell ya. So I gotta get the droid activated. Maybe, I guess. So we see him have a little breakdown about his whole team dying and showing some emotion. Then we cut back. We see some more stuff with Osha and the Stranger, and realizing that he's like, you didn't quit the Jedi. They kicked you out because you kind of pushed her to her limit. Well, his ship's parked out in the ocean a little bit, on this little area. It's like, hey, you can go swim to it if you want to. Take you all day, or you can just wait for the tide to go out. Otherwise, want to go have some dinner? So he's trying. You kind of see he's nonchalantly trying to get into her head and figure her out. And we do get a revelation that he says he used to be a Jedi as well. And they threw him out. We did see the part when he had his shirt off. He has a big scar on his back from something. So they're pretty much some of their interactions. Pretty much some just trying to get in her head a little bit and say, well, this is the Jedi. There's other ways of tapping into the Force. The Jedi make you think your powers in the Force diminish, but anger and fear and desire and that's the path to the dark side. Whatever. So he's kind of trying to do the dark side pitch to her a little bit. He mentions that the helmet is made of cortosis, everyone, and it also helps. It's a sensory that helps him connect when he has it on. It helps him connect to the Force more. He pushes her to the point where she says she failed. That's why she's left the Jedi, and he's pretty much no. They kind of pushed. He keeps pushing. They threw you out because you failed. Because he wouldn't. He's like, hey, you're gonna strike me down? Go on, strike me down. And she refuses to do it because he's unarmed and all that stuff. So they're just going back and forth. Just trying to get into her head and push her to the dark side, and says that all he wants is the power of two. Is what he seeks. And he thought May wanted that too, but May he was wrong. And that's pretty much most of the stuff that happens with them. So just seeing he's trying to sway her to the dark side to join him, as obviously what his plan is here. Like I said, on the ship. So Basil's working on trying to get Pip charged up and back on. Soul, I guess, does what he needs to do. And he goes up and he's hugging Osha. He's like, you saved me, you saved us. And I can't believe how he didn't know that the dude was a bad guy when he first met him on the planet, posing as the one thing. And then the communicator comes up and he's getting ready to start working, and he starts to send the message again, and then the ship loses power. This is seemingly, possibly, well, we'll find. I'll get to that in a minute. Why So he asked Mayosha to see if she can work on it, since she does work on ships. So yeah, I'll go get a diagnostic. So May goes to like the engine room, where she gets confronted by Basil, and she's got the little pip thing plugged in, and Basil like attacks her leg, and the thing makes it like shoot hot oil on her face and stuff like that, and Basil takes off running, and she like grabs the pip thing and she like resets it back to its factory settings, so now she can control it. Why? Once again, like this whole story part makes no sense really for me here. This is one of the bad parts of the episode. It's like, why would he confront someone he knows is evil? You're just like a little hamster dude, and now you've just lost Pip. So she resets Pip, and he does the diagnostic, and Basil's running through the tunnels, and she's kind of tracking him. All of a sudden, she runs into Soul again. They have another little heart-to-heart moment, like, you really love, you found your Pip. Yeah, he said that, should be back up in 5 minutes. And she starts, like, talking about how, like, the Jedi made her lose her made her give up all her feelings and all this stuff, and so going back and forth just about this and that, and Soul's like, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know that's how you felt, and the ship's power comes back on, and she goes to goes to get in the seat and fly. The communicator starts, the transponder starts coming up, and she like starts to talk on it. All of a sudden, she gets stunned. Soul stuns her, walks up towards her, and then you see the Basil right there behind him. So I don't know if it was a conversation that finally that he kind of finally realized that, hey, that's not, you're not Osha, or if Basil actually finally got to him and told him, which don't know why Basil wouldn't have done that to begin with, except for just padding the episode, I guess. And then the transponder said, the Jedi say, hey, leave your transponder on, we're on our way to... Oh, I guess we have to get to the third part. We haven't got to the third part. I don't remember. Well, I can't remember her name. The green skin Jedi chick is having a meeting with somebody who's talking about how the Senate's coming, there's a senator attacking the Jedi and trying to put down the Jedi. She gets interrupted by what maybe her Padawan, or an under Jedi, who she ends that message, starts talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, we started getting a distress call from Soul, but it was a bad signal and it broke up. It was an emergency cause, and there was casualties." He goes, "How many?" He's like, "It sounds like he said all of them." So she starts saying she needs to prep an emergency rescue team. And then the next scene we see with them is where she's meeting them, I guess, in the lobby, and he's like, well, there's lots of things on that. It's an uncharted planet. There's lots of things that could cause casualties. It's like, you don't have to. Are you planning on going? You won't do well in hyperspace. I guess saying that she doesn't like hyper travel. And she's like, yeah, it's my fault they went there. I gotta check this out and see what's going on. Something, because she has deeper, bigger fears. So that's the part. So now we're back to the ship where they're trying to tell Soul to leave his transponder on so that they're coming to him. He turns it off. He jumps into hyperspace. You see his ship take off as then their ship comes in. Then we see them on the surface, and I guess the natives talked about, I guess the bugs had a big uprising, and that the theory was that could have been what could have been caused the casualties. They then go into the forest. They find all the Jedi bodies, and they realize it is a lightsaber wound. They're starting to do their theories. It's like, well, it's an explosion, and then there was one powerful Jedi, one powerful Force user was able to fight all these Jedi, and one point they want to do questions of, do you think Soul fell? They also notice that Soul, Osha, and May are not there. So those are the ones that are not there. So they're saying it was a Jedi did it. So there's a question of like, do we think it was Soul? Do we think Soul has fallen? That a powerful Jedi had fallen, is what they actually said. So there's questions on, do we think it was Soul? And under her breath, you get her say, or something that tipped the scales. So then one of the bugs comes out and attacks her. She uses her little whip lightsaber thing that cut it in half. And she orders that we need to get out of here and get all the bodies for a proper burial. So of the Jedi, she seems to be only one that is possibly thinking Sith. So I know everyone's freaking out about this part. Even though the guy they're seeing with the lightsaber, I will say they're even writing him as thinking it's a Jedi had fallen. So, as we know, fallen Jedi don't necessarily become Sith. Vader had Sith Inquisitors who are not technically Sith, since him and Palpatine were the only Sith, but they were pretty much all of them were fallen Jedi. I mean, the Grand Inquisitor was a temple guard. So we already have in lore that Jedi can fall and turn bad and not technically be Sith. Look, the Sith Inquisitors not being technically Sith is stupid. Granted, and once again, it's where the rule of two bit him in the ass, George Lucas in the ass, and he needed to create bad guys for his animated shows, and it's hard to do that when you've already said that there can only be two bad guys, and you've already named them both. Yeah, not to see that. See, and people yell about Candy. George was doing everything he could to get around that. He would try and find anything he would to get around there being the power of two. Hey, I guess. Hey, is that where the power of many comes? The power of one, the power of two, the power of many. Saying the power of many says more than one, two. Sith is better. Look, I'll piss a lot of Star Wars fans off. You could retcon that. That's just you kill yourself by eliminating your bad guys. It's a dumb rule. They had to skate around it with the Savage Adventures and Savage Press. They had to skate around it with the Sith Inquisitors. Then you still kind of got Darth Maul in the world, but I guess he's no longer Darth Maul. He's just Maul now because you don't want him to. But he still has his dark side force powers. You stupid to limit your bad guys if you want to try and build around the same time period. And then obviously the Mundi line everybody understood the big extinct from there. Well, that makes it really hard to do any stuff with Star Wars that are prequels of the prequels. So once again, you took away your bad guys. Granted, yes, they can do the Old Republic, but would the Old Republic stuff go over well right now? Who knows? Don't think it would. They maybe wouldn't want them touching the Old Republic. But that's a tangent. So, obviously, a lot of the Jedi are thinking fallen Jedi. And only she seems to be thinking it might be something bigger. And no one's still over the High Council. Now, Sol on the ship does say something about going to the High. It's time he needs to go to the High Council and tell them everything. So they keep kind of cutting to this is where kind of before he stunned May, he was talking about. She was like, "What have you told me about Brendock? Is there anything you haven't told me yet? Is there something like trying to push? Like, what is you not telling me? What more do you know? So keep trying to push it. We're gonna find out what the Jedi did. He did something obviously that he's shamed about." But like I said, he stuns her. After I guess Basil informed that it wasn't, or he figured it out on his own. Who knows? One of the two. When she comes through, she's locked to like a med bed, and Sol's like, "I'm not going to harm you. I got to find your master and save your sister." But I've something I've thought about when if I've always thought about something I would say to you if I ever saw you for the last 16 years, and you're going to listen. So I guess he's about to confess something to her, and that's where that part of their storyline ends. So then, at the very end of the episode, we cut back because as we saw with the OSHA and the stranger, he told her about the helmet and how it like helps him in touch with the Force more. He offers to let her, tells her to put it on. She's like, "I don't trust you." He's like, "You shouldn't, but you should trust yourself." And he walks off, and then when we cut back to her, she's looking at the helmet. She slowly decides, and then she slowly slides it on. And you have to be using the Force to be able to fight in this thing. Because all he has is this narrow slit that you can see out. Because you can see from inside the helmet. You see her, and you can hear her breathing. And there's this narrow slit that you can kind of just see out a little bit. So it cuts from inside the helmet back to looking at her, and you can just hear the breathing part. And then cuts to the inside of the helmet again. And then the slit just goes dark. Where you can't see anything, saying maybe she's fully connected with the Force. And that's where it starts, and that's where it fades to black and starts the credits. Well, obviously faded to black already. And that's where the episode ends with her. So assuming, I guess, that maybe she's... I guess this was supposed to be her reconnecting with the Force. Because that's what he said. The helmet, it not only, protects you from lightsabers, but it also has a sensory deprivation so you can make... like the Jedi younglings would wear so they could commune with the Force more. So I'm assuming that means she's reconnected to the Force. And see where that goes with her and Helm. Does he know something about the backstory? I don't see how he could tell her what's going on. I'm assuming Soul's going to do some kind of revelation with May next episode. Our other Jedi, I don't know where their story's going to go because I don't know if they can track Soul and if they're going to be tracing Soul. Looking, because I guess they think there's a possibility it was Soul, then she thinks it's something else. So some intriguing storylines, concepts set up here is there. Now Soul's kind of seeming a little darker. It's gotten a little weird. He's acting a little funky. I don't think this. So we got 2 episodes. We got to find out what happened with Soul and Brindok. Did the Jedi kill all the witches? Or something else? Guess we're going to find out some parts of the stranger's backstory. He said this, and when she asked him about the scar, he said the scar was from when they kicked me out. So I'm saying that I guess his master, whoever his master was, left him that scar. She did ask why she didn't know him. He was a guy. And you guys, that was from a lot longer ago, so maybe this guy is way older than he appears. Maybe this look is just a front. A Force image. So yeah, so like I said, there's some intriguing storyline stuff, some interesting storyline stuff pushed. Like I said, the whole Basil stuff on the ship was dumb. Him like sneaking around behind Soul and trying to confront her, a chick who he knows is an evil assassin. I said that just seems like it was just some patter for the episode, but that made no sense at all. As soon as he saw Soul, he should have ran. You would think he would have went right to Soul. Soul's use of the Force obviously must be super cloudy, since he doesn't sense OSHA and May, the difference between the two, that it's not OSHA. So people can jump on that part, but we've had similar writing like this in Star Wars before. Like it's just plot convenience writing for the story. Lucas did the same stuff. There was stuff that some of the stuff you know with the Force that would mean that, wait, shouldn't this person know this already? So, yeah, there was a couple dumb parts in it and stuff like that, but overall the story was, pushing the story, everything was pushing forward, so it wasn't, I still enjoyed the episode. It was definitely a step back from the last episode. We went from an action episode to more time to give a lot more story information out. I'm assuming the next episode is probably going to be mostly story stuff, flashback stuff. I'm assuming this is where we're going to find out the Brendock incident. It has to be in this episode, and I assume there's going to be there's going to be some flashback in this. I don't know if it'll be the whole episode or it'll be just Soul telling the story or not, but there's going to be some element of that in the next episode. But like I said, 6.5. I mean, it wasn't a terrible episode, but not a lot happened here. And like I said, there was just some padding stuff, obviously, to it. Like I said, I know people. I'm sure people ripped it off. I think I've seen some videos calling it, making fun of the dude for taking off his shirt and getting into what? That's not that big of a deal. People like to find the dumbest stuff to nitpick on. But well, we'll see you next week when we see what is revealed in the next episode, which I'm assuming is definitely going to be a reveal episode of a bunch of stuff. At least if we don't get what happened on Brendock, that's going to be, I don't know what you're going to put in this episode then. Maybe we'll also find out some of the stranger's backstory. Who's he connected to? But there we go. That's my thoughts on this episode. Till next time. Cachorro out.